Hello Internet, I am the Hero of Julios once again with another booster pack opening video. It's actually startling to think that it's this quickly between the last booster pack, New Awakening, and this latest booster pack, Digital Hazard. So yeah, also next month, I think it's July 29th, they just announced that BT9 is coming out in America. So I'm hoping the reason for this is they are speeding us up in America so that we catch up to Japan, and eventually they plan on a global release for the booster pack. But for now, we've got Digital Hazard, a booster pack depicting the Digimon and their tamers from the third season of Digimon, as well as the dreaded D-Reaper, the final boss, the big bad of the final arc of that season. So, without further ado, let's pop this open and see what our box topper is. So the box topper for this latest entry is a alternate art of Imperialdramon Dragon Mode or Mastamon. In this case, we get an alternate art of Imperialdramon Dragon Mode. If you don't really care about alternate arts and you just want the card, you can get 2 copies of this card in its base version from the starter decks. The latest ones that came out had a video a couple weeks back about that one. So it's a cool card. I mean, it's a great effect, and I'm definitely going to use it for flex points, in my binder. I really like this textured, you can kind of see it in the reflection off my light, but there is a nice amount of texture right here on Imperialdramon. So that is a very nice way to start things off. So, yeah. Let's begin by flipping this over and getting the cards out. So in a new tradition that I've started doing in the last few boxes, we are going to start with the bottom 2 booster packs and see if the bottom of this box is just as good as any other pack in there. Starting with the one found on the bottom right of the box. And so our very first card from EX2 is Andromon. He is a blocker Digimon, and at the end, during your opponent's turn, all of our Digimon with blocker gain 2000 DP. So he doesn't look like much with 6000 DP, but during our opponent's turn, him and all other blockers get more DP. So he is an 8000 blocker during our opponent's turn. Next up, we get Cubimon. When Digivolving, we look at the top 3 cards of our deck. We add 1 option card with plugin in its name among them to our hand, and then we place the rest at the bottom of our deck. Her inherited effect, when we use an option card that costs 2 or more, one of our opponent's Digimon loses 2000 DP for the turn. Cubimon, Renamon, their whole family, is a very powerful deck strategy that I'm looking forward to seeing in the next couple rounds of my locals. This guy I like. I just like Locomon. I like the concept of a trained Digimon. So Locomon, when he would Digivolve into a Grand Locomon, we lower the cost by 1. So, very simple effect, but very cool nonetheless. Ooh, and here is our first D-Reaper card. So this is Adr09 Pendulum Feet. On play, we reveal the top 3 cards of our deck. We can add a D-Reaper and 1 Adr02 Searcher among them to our hand, placing the remaining cards at the bottom of our deck, in any order. What's nice about this is, because you need either a D-Reaper and a Searcher, you could use this effect to grab 2 Searchers, which you're going to need a lot of because you can have actually up to 50. It's just like the Eosmon from back in BT7. Next we got Caesarmon, a blue champion with jamming. Oh, we got Adr05 Creep Hands. While we have a Mother D-Reaper in play, this Digimon gains blocker. We'll get to the Mother D-Reaper herself once we actually pull one. Next we get Labramon. Once per turn, if this Digimon has jamming when we're attacking, gain a memory. Works great with Caesarmon. That's kind of what it's meant to do. Our next card is Adr07 Palate's Head. If we have a Mother D-Reaper in play, we can suspend this Digimon to delete one of our opponent's Digimon with DP less than or equal to this Digimon's DP. It's only 3000 DP, but if you can figure out ways to increase that DP, you've got yourself a deadly weapon on your hands. I would recommend only running 1 or 2 of that guy, though, if you're making a D-Reaper deck. Next up, we got Parasitemon. At the end of our attack, we can place this Digimon under one of our opponent's Digimon as its bottom Digivolution card. During our turn, this Digimon gets 2000 DP, and at all times it gains Security Attack +1. Not really much else to say about this guy. It's a great card for just any super blitzing deck, but you're kind of risking Parasitemon to actually survive the attack, so if you want to use it, I would say go for it, but it's kind of a coin flip as your results may vary with that one. Next up, we get the Tamer card, Kazu Shioda. At the start of our main phase, if we have a Digimon with Cyborg or Machine in its traits in play, gain a memory. During all turns, if one of our Digimon with Cyborg or Machine in its traits becomes suspended, we can suspend this Tamer to draw 1. So works great with blockers like Andromon. Definitely going to see this in a couple people's Machinedramon decks probably. So overall, good card. Next up, we get the blue card as our first rare. While we have a Tamer in play, we can use this card without needing its color requirements. You're going to see that a lot in this booster pack. Its main effect lets us reveal the top 5 cards of our deck. We can then Digivolve one of our Digimon into one non-white Digimon card among them without paying its memory cost. If we don't, we add one Digimon card among them to our hand, placing the remaining cards at the bottom of our deck in any order. Security effect lets us play a Tamer from our hand without paying its cost. So, at first it sounds great, because it's like, oh my gosh, we can just, Digivolve for free, but you gotta remember, this card costs 3 to begin with. So, I would say use it if you're trying to go from Ultimate to Mega, and your deck consists of Megas that require 4 or more, memory to Digivolve. I don't know, I think it's an okay card. Oh, speaking of not okay, this is the opposite of okay, this is a good card. This is Sakuyamon, which is our first super rare and one of our bottom boosters. So that's really nice. When Digivolving, we unsuspend one of our Digimon, and for each Tamer we have in play, we can bring an option card with plugin in its name from our trash to our hand. You're going to be playing a lot of Tamers with this deck strategy anyway, so good on you, Sakuyamon. During our turn, when we use an option card with a cost of 2 or more, one of our opponent's Digimon loses 3000 DP for the turn. Keep in mind, this is not a once per turn effect, which means you'll be able to use this effect multiple times. If you can get maybe 4 times, for some reason, there's a lot of easy ways to do it in the Sakuyamon line, but for getting 4 of those done, you can delete an opponent's Digimon with 12,000 or less DP. Especially if you combine it with things like Cubimon, who allow you to use DP reduction even more. Okay, so the curse of the bottom of the box might just be a myth, getting a super rare and a really good one at that. So if you're ever at your local shop, it really is just superstition. I mean, I know I always joke, but we'll see, maybe this other one is going to be another super rare. So we got Cubimon, another Localmon. We got Davidramon, which is a champion with retaliation, and his inherited is when attacking, we can trash the top 2 cards of our deck. Nice. Next up, we get Labramon, whose on-play effect, if we have 3 or fewer security cards and a Shuchong Wan in play, recovery +1 from our deck. So a bit of a stipulation. I mean, 3 or fewer security and a specifically named Tamer. But I mean, it's a nice effect, and I think it's weird that they change some names for cards and they don't change others. Like, this is Henry's little sister, Susie, and we'll get to it, but I don't know. I wish they would just be consistent, I guess. We got Caesarmon here, another Creep Hands, another Labramon, another Palete's Head. Oh, and our first egg, Yamon. While there are 10 or more cards in our trash, this Digimon gains 2000 DP. That's a really good inherited effect, Not a lot of inherited effects give 2000 DP. Most just give the 1. Got another Kazu. Oh, hey, and for our rares, we got Beelzemon, whose on-play effect lets us reveal the top 4 cards of our deck. We can take a Growlmon or a Gallantmon and one Tocado from among them and add them to our hand, placing the rest at the bottom of our deck in any order. Then, when attacking, if this Digimon has Growlmon or Gallantmon in its name, delete one of our opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less. It's a a big strategy of the new Gallantmon cards to delete things with specific DP amounts and ways to increase those DP amounts necessary. So, our other rare is another blue card. Ironically, our first red card was a rare, so I'm wondering exactly how many red cards are actually I'm actually going to get from this one specific box. Alright. Next up is Mephistomon. On play, draw 2, then trash 2. When attacking, once per turn, we may trash 1 card in our hand to gain a memory. It's a good effect. Ooh, we got this Grand Locomon. Your Digimon can't attack. This Digimon can't attack your opponent's Digimon, so he's only going straight for the opponent. During all turns, for each card in our trash with Cyborg or Machine in its traits, this Digimon gains 1000 DP. You combine that with Locomon, and he only costs 2 to Digivolve into him. So this is a really strong combo, especially since if you're running a machine deck, you're going to have a lot of those, and he's already at 11. You only need 5 machines in your trash to be able to just plow over most cards in the game, except for the one 16,000 DP card that exists right now. Now we got Gargoman. When this Digimon would Digivolve, if we have a green tamer in play, we can reduce the Digivolution cost by 1. Mind you, that is for when Gargomon becomes something else, not when a Terriermon becomes this Gargomon, or any green rookie for that matter. So it's from Digivolving from him. His inherited effect is when an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, this Digimon gains 2000 DP for the turn. Nice. Next up, we got Optimizer, Adr08. On play and when attacking, once per turn, if one of our Mother D Reapers has 5 or more Digivolution cards, we can reveal the top 3 cards of our deck. We may play 1 card with D Reaper in its name, with a play cost of 10 or less among them, without paying their memory cost, placing the remaining cards at the bottom of our deck in any order. Now, I believe the Digimon card game official website just said that there was a change, that this was a mistranslation. This card is actually supposed to put the cards back at the top of your deck, but I'm not exactly sure. In fact, let me just, so I don't have to put something down below me, I'm going to check it on my computer real quick. Yeah, I just looked it up. So this is a mistranslation. It is not supposed to be the bottom of your deck. It is supposed to be the top of your deck. Something to keep in mind. You may have to bring the official rules out to your opponent when that happens. But our next card is Creep Hands. And Offensive Plugin A. So this is a plugin card. So this will work with things like Sakuyamon, or not Sakuyamon, Cubimon, who can put a option card with plugin. But while you have a tamer in play, you can use this card without meeting its color requirements. This is going to happen to all the plug-in cards, so just letting you know. One of your Digimon gains security attack +1. Its security effect lets us reveal the top 3 cards of our deck. We can add a tamer to our hand from among them, and place the rest at the bottom of our deck in any order. Then, we get to put this card in our hand. So, the likelihood of it being in our security is low, but it's super helpful if it is, because it's not only a searcher, but it goes to our hand. I love security cards that, after they do their option ability, they go to our hand. So, next up is Labramon. And the first Adr02 Searcher. I am one step closer to my goal of 50 of them. We can include 50 of this card into this, with this card's card number in our deck. When we would play this card from our hand, reduce its play cost by 2 if we do not have another searcher in play. On our turn, this Digimon cannot attack players, and its on-play effect lets us draw 1. So, a great way to start if you're running a D-Reaper deck is to play this guy straight from your hand for 1 cost, and then maybe play a second one for 3. Granted, that would put your opponent pretty high up in memory at the start of the game, but, well, I mean, if you're going absolutely first, you're going to give your opponent 1 memory, but I'm saying if you're going second and your opponent left you with only 1 memory, or even with 2. Its inherited effect gives all of our Digimon with D-Reaper in their traits 1000 DP. That's a pretty powerful effect, and it'll just keep making them stronger, like that one that suspends and kills Digimon of equal power. Continuing on, we got Viximon here. When we use an option card with a cost of 2 or more, draw 1. It's a once per turn ability, but it's still a very good one. So, ooh. This is Adr01 Jerry. I remember being freaked out by this when I was a lot younger. Now it just looks cartoony, but, you know, when I was, I don't know, I had to be 11, maybe 12? It's been a long time. I'd have to do the real math on that. But anyways, I'm getting digressing. We can suspend this Digimon to reveal the top 5 cards of our deck, placing a searcher among them under one of our Mother D-Reaper as a bottom Digivolution card. Then place the remaining cards at the bottom of our deck in any order. And for our rares, we get Terriermon. When we play a green tamer, we gain a memory. And when an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, this Digimon gains 2000 DP for the turn as an inherited effect. And we are just, oh wow, okay, we're just starting with that. Okay, this is just the first. This is the first non-bottom booster pack. This is Beelzemon Blast Mode, one of the 2 secret rares. Look at that lovely texture on Beelzemon. That's pretty cool. So, when this card is trashed from our deck, we delete one of our opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. When Digivolving, we delete all of our opponent's Digimon with the highest level. Then, during our turn, for every 10 cards in our trash, this Digimon gains Security Attack +1. It is not hard for a purple deck to put cards into the trash bin. So Beelzemon can have, you know, Security Attack maybe +2 by pretty early in the game if you're playing your cards right. And maybe even +3 if you're playing pretty close to the chest. I would be very careful if you have 40 cards. I would say you are a lot closer to death than your opponent is if you have burned through that much of your deck. Our next pack contains Davidramon, Labramon, Gargoman. When attacking, we delete one of our opponent's Digimon with 2000 or less DP. If we have a red tamer in play, we can delete an opponent's Digimon with 4000 or less instead. When attacking once per turn, if this Digimon has Growlmon or Gallantmon in its name, we can delete an opponent's Digimon with 3000 or less DP. Strikedramon, when Digivolving, we reveal the top 4 cards of our deck. We add a black tamer card among them to our hand and place the remaining cards at the bottom of our deck in any order. If we have 2 or more black tamers in play when attacking, we gain a memory. So, black seems to be, at least with Strikedramon, Monodramon, you're going to see with Justimon if we pull one, it's very big on having a lot of tamers on board. Ooh, next up is the option card, Fist of the Beast King. While we have a Beelzemon in play, we can use this card without meeting its color requirements. This card lets us unsuspend a Digimon with Leomon or Beelzemon in its name. This is really cool because this pack is based on the 3rd season of Digimon. Beelzemon actually uses Leomon's Fist of the Beast King when he's trying to save Jerry. It's very poetic, but also very sad because she doesn't see it as him trying to help her. It's just a painful reminder that he's the one that killed Leomon. Next up, we got Adr09 Gatekeeper. Its security effect lets us play this Digimon to the battlefield without paying its memory cost. On play, if we have a D-Reaper Mother in play, we recover 1. And during our opponent's turn, if our Mother D-Reaper has 6 or more Digivolution cards in play, all of our opponent's Digimon gain security attack -1. So, I believe the Mother D-Reaper needs 7 to reach its full potential for like its best ability or whatever it is it does. We'll know when we pull the card. But to have it at 6 or more, this is literally a gatekeeper. Like the mother is coming and you cannot get past anymore. Next up, we got Ice Devemon. When attacking, we return one of our opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon with no Digivolution cards to its owner's hand. A very standard blue ability. Then the Optimizer and Taumon. When Digivolving, we can play a Rika from our hand without paying its memory cost. Then its inherited is once per turn. When we use an option card that costs 2 or more, an opponent's Digimon loses 2000 DP. Same as Cubimon. Ooh, Fireball. So this little option card lets us delete an opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less. If an opponent's Digimon wasn't deleted, we draw 2. And then security just activates its effect. So it's nice to get some draw power in red decks. Trust me, as a guy who likes to play red, that's something we don't get as much as the other colors. So Cyberdramon, when digivolving, lets us play Rio from our hand without paying his memory cost. Then, during our turn, if we have no tamers in play, this Digimon can't attack players. So Cyberdramon needs to be controlled in order to properly strike at the right opponent. This is a mouthful. When attacking, if we have 2 or more black tamers in play, de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. And then it's the lengthy explanation of how de-digivolving works. That is a lot of text. But that's okay. I like that the cards still explain what these abilities do. Oh, I didn't know Devemon was a rare card in this deck. When we play this card from our hand, we can reduce this play cost by 2 if we have Alice Mccoy in play. Its on deletion effect lets us trash the top 3 cards of our deck, then return a purple Digimon card or a purple tamer from our trash to our hand. So it is a 5 cost, but with his tamer in play, it becomes a 3 cost. Nice. It's good for helping with Digivolution. I'm interested to see if someone comes up with a deck that actually uses that ability to its full potential. Our next cards are Mephistomon, another Grand Locomon, Gargoman again, and this is High Speed Plugin D. That security effect lets us draw 1 and then add the card to our hand. While we have a tamer in play, we can use it without its color requirement, and for a turn, it gives one of our Digimon jamming. So, given that almost every deck in the game requires tamers or uses tamers, most people utilize a tamer in some way, this card grants jamming to pretty much every player now. And jamming is a very powerful ability, as I'm sure a lot of you know. Next up, we got Adr06 Horn Striker. If we have a D-Reaper in play, this Digimon gains Rush. It doesn't seem that good right now, but once I get to the Mother D-Reaper, you'll see that he is a lot more powerful than he looks. Next, we get another offensive plugin A, another Pallades head, and Bubbles! Adr04 Bubbles. His security effect lets us place a 0-2 searcher from in play or from our hand under one of our Mother D-Reapers. And its on play effect lets us place a 0-2 searcher from in play or from our hand under one of our Mother D-Reapers. So same effect whether it's security or on play, so you're not really upset to see it in your security stack. Very nice. Ooh, our first red egg. We got Geekymon. If this Digimon has Guilmon, Growlmon, or Gallantmon in its name, draw 1. It's a lot like the BT5 Koromon that let us draw 4 Greymons. Nice. For our uncommon... Oh, this is an uncommon? I thought this was rare. Oh well. This is Reapermon. He has the reboot ability, and once per turn during the opponent's turn, when an opponent's Digimon becomes unsuspended, de-digivolve 1 that Digimon. Note this says when an opponent's Digimon becomes unsuspended, so this does include the unsuspend phase. So that's a good way that after your opponent's like ultimate leveled or maybe even mega level swung and attacked, then you can play Reapermon, or you can digivolve into him, however you get him out there, and de-digivolve your opponent's boss monster. And for our rares, we get Rika, who is a memory tamer. If our memory is 2 or less, we can set it to 3. And when you attack with a Renamon, Cubimon, Talmon, or Sakuyamon in its name, we can suspend this tamer to use an option card with plugin in its name from our hand without paying its memory. This is why the Sakuyamon is such a powerful card, because if you get 2 or 3 of these on the board, you can whip out so many plugins left and right, because Rika, in the actual show, was a master of being a tamer. She was a master of playing the card game and using all these plugins and abilities to power up her Digimon. This is the card that makes the Sakuyamon deck so dangerous. Hey, and we finally get that egg, this wonderful Mother D-Reaper. So this is the boss monster and the egg of the D-Reaper strategy. See, look, it's actually an egg. And you've probably noticed as we've been going through all these cards, but the D-Reaper cards don't have a level. As a result, the Mother D-Reaper works a little differently than other eggs. You can hatch it during your breeding phase, but during your breeding phase, you can also move this Digimon up into the battle area. It's got 15,000 DP, it has no level, so it's not exactly the same as other eggs. During all of our turns, both mine and my opponent's, this Digimon can't attack and isn't affected by your opponent's effects. That is everything from Mastamon sending it to your security, to Gaia Force outright deleting it, Cocytus Breath sending it back to your hand, Terror Cluster sending it to the bottom of your deck. Nothing except direct combat can hurt the Mothered Reaper. Unfortunately, because she is a D-Reaper, if you get a Searcher underneath her, she's going to be 16,000 DP. Another one under her, she is now 17,000 DP, because she does have the D-Reaper in her traits. But it gets worse. Or cooler, depending on which way you want to look at it, as its opponent or as its player. Once per turn, if you don't have another Mother D-Reaper in play, so you can't have two, no cheating, you can place a 0-2 Searcher from in play or from your hand under this Digimon as its bottom Digivolution card. Also once per turn, when you would play a D-Reaper in its traits from your hand, you may reduce the play cost by 1 for each of this Digimon's Digivolution cards. This means if you had per se, let's say 4, suddenly this big boy with Rush only costs 3. Now, I haven't gotten to the biggest punching force of this deck just yet, but there is a reason why getting more and more underneath her turns this Mother Reaper into a ticking time bomb, and hopefully I'll pull the card that allows me to explain that better once we get a little deeper into this box. Already I have been doing quite a lot of talking. Our next pack contains Strikedramon, Mephistomon, Ground Locomon, Optimizer, High Speed Plug-in D, Horn Striker, Plug-in A, Palette's Head, Fireball, Reapermon, and for our rares, another D-Reaper, and Leomon, our second super rare. The Beast King himself, Leomon. During our opponent's turn, if we have a Tamer in play, this Digimon gains Blocker. And, on deletion, because it's Leomon and all Leomons have an on deletion ability, we gain 2 memory and draw 1. So this is a blocker you want to get hurt. So at a play cost of 6, it is really hard to get this thing just like right out on the board, but with a Digivolution cost of 2, it's a pretty great blocker to have, and I can see why it's a super rare even as a champion level card. Our next pack contains Cubimon, Locomon, Davidramon, Caesarmon, another Horn Striker, Labramon, Gorillamon, whose on play effect lets us play a level 3 Digimon from one of our blue Digimon's Digivolution cards without paying its memory cost. So yeah, he costs 6, which is a high play cost for a level 4, but it allows us to slide out a level 3 Digimon out from underneath one of our others, which is nice, because it's kind of like playing it again. Think of the Gabumon with the on-play draw 1. There are plenty of on-play effects in blue that are useful. Got another Gatekeeper. Oh, and Xiaomon. While this Digimon is level 4, it gets 1000 DP. Now, this doesn't seem that great until you realize it is an all-turns ability. So, it helps protect cards like Caesarmon, who is a jamming Digimon and will be left exposed when he suspends himself to attack. Next we got Alice Mccoy. During our turn, once per turn, when one of our Digimon would Digivolve from level 5 to 6, we can delete one of our Digimon to reduce the cost by 3. Getting your Digimon to delete itself is sometimes hard to do. Look at Eismon jamming mode, as people love to call it. So having a card like this who can force those on deletion effects to activate is actually very useful. I will definitely be using this card in my purple deck. For our rares, we get Rika. Oh, and I believe this is the alternate. This is an alternate art for Takado? I didn't even know he got an alternate art. Is this a tamer with an alternate art? I didn't even read about this. Hang on, let me. Yeah, because the normal Takado gets has him putting his goggles on. So this is not only is this the first Takado I've pulled, but this is an alternate art. Very cool. When an opponent's Digimon is deleted, we can suspend this tamer to gain a memory. And during our turn, when one of our Digimon would Digivolve into Gallantmon or Growlmon, we can give that Digimon Blitz. Wow, I really like this. I didn't even know there was an alternate art for Takado in this. I was thinking I was gonna get maybe an alternate art for. Actually, I don't know what the alternate arts look like for this one. I didn't do as much research as I usually do. So yeah, this is really cool. This was a good surprise. Huh. Well, that's kind of nice. It's very nifty. As a red tamer, I do love having the alternate arts for the red tamer cards. So let's keep the ball rolling by getting a red Growlmon in our hand. We got Strike-Dramon, another Mephistomon, Caesarmon, High Speed Plug-in D, another Creep Hands, another Hornstriker, Offensive Plug-in A, ooh, and we got Deathslinger. When this card is trashed from our deck, we gain a memory, very easy to do with purple, and we delete one of our opponent's Digimon, level 4 or lower Digimon. For every 10 cards in our trash, though, we can add 1 to the maximum level of the Digimon we can choose with this effect. So 10 cards level 5, 20 cards level 6, and as soon as you hit 30 cards in your trash, you can delete any Digimon for 4 memory. Now granted, you have 30 cards in your trash, which is not super easy to do, but is getting easier with every new booster pack. This is a great card and a very powerful effect. Oh, speaking of great effects, we got War Growlmon here. When attacking, we delete an opponent's Digimon with 4,000 or less DP. If we have a red Digimon, it's 6,000 instead. But what's really cool about this War Growlmon is the inherited effect. We can add 1,000 to the maximum DP that we can choose with our DP-based deletion effects. So even if you go all the way back to like BT4 with Trident Revolver, which deletes a Digimon at 6,000 DP, it's now 7,000 DP. This War Growlmon, if you had another Digimon on board with a War Growlmon inherited, we can delete an opponent's Digimon with 5,000 and then 7,000 less if we have a tamer. So that's a nice little combo right there. Our first rare from this pack is Antilamon. If we have a Shuchong-Wan in play, our Labramon can Digivolve into this card for a Digivolution cost of 3, ignoring the Digivolution requirements. And we can trash the top card of our security stack to unsuspend this Digimon when attacking. Having a yellow Digimon that can unsuspend when attacking is pretty bonkers. It's a good blitzing strategy. I also really like that in the lore, you know, Labramon in the 3rd season was Antilamon, who was a member of the Deva and was one of the bad guys. Then, you know, became Labramon, became Susie's partner Digimon. So having no champion between the two makes a lot of sense in this booster. Hello, Justimon Blitzarm. We can activate, when Digivolving, one of the following effects. This Digimon gets 2,000 DP, we can unsuspend him, and we can delete an opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 5 or less. When attacking, for each tamer we have in play, we can activate his Digivolving effect. So, even if you had 3 tamers in play and you could activate one of each of these effects, or if you had 4 tamers in play, you could unsuspend him and give him, you know, 6,000 more DP, making him a 7,000 DP attacker. So I look forward to seeing a high tamer count black deck in the future. Okay, well, we are off to an amazing start with this box. We've got an alternate art, we've got a secret rare, we've already got a few super rares. Even the bottom booster packs had a couple, had a super rare in them. So this has been a nice box. We got Andromon, Cubimon, another Locomon, Ice Devemon, Caesarmon, Horn Striker, Labramon, Gorillamon, Alice, Rapidmon, who when digivolving, if we have a green tamer in play, we suspend an opponent's Digimon. And it's inherited once per turn. When an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, this Digimon gains security attack +1. This will work great with Mega Gargomon, as we'll see later. And for our rares, we get Terriermon and Mako. These are Impmon's tamers, or they were supposed to be. He kind of ran away from them for a bit, but it's thanks to them that he can turn into blast mode. So, you know, sometimes you gotta run away from your problems before you can let them help you. If you have 2 memory or less, you set it to 3, so they're a standard memory tamer, which is actually not something Purple's had for a very long time. I think Matt from BT2 is the only other Purple memory tamer. Anyways, when we attack with a Digimon, we can suspend this tamer to trash the top card of our deck. Then, if the attacking Digimon is Beelzemon, we can digivolve it into a Beelzemon Blast mode from our trash for a Digivolution cost of 3. This works great with the Beelzemon Blast mode found in this booster pack, but I believe that ability works with any Beelzemon, so look forward to Beelzemons from future booster packs being able to combine with those kits. Next pack has Davidramon, Lotmon, Growlmon, another Gatekeeper, Pendulum Feet, High Speed Plug-in D, our second Searcher, I'm really hoping to get more of these guys, Fist of the Beast King, Xiaomon, Jerry Kato, or is it Kato? On play, we can play a Leomon from our hand without paying its memory cost. She costs 4, Leomon costs 6, so it's much more efficient to play her. I actually really like her opponent's turn effect, though. When an opponent's Digimon attacks, we can suspend this tamer to draw 1. This makes her a great card in any deck, if I'm being honest. Your opponent is always going to attack at least 5 times, or I would say, at maximum, your opponent has to attack 6 times throughout the game. Because you have 5 security, and if they have no security attack plus, they're going to have to attack at least 6 times. 1 for their 5 security, and then the 6th time to finish you off. Jerry can suspend to draw 1, meaning that you can, at max, get about 5 extra cards from playing this one card. She's a bit of an investment, but I would recommend putting her in decks that are missing draw power and maybe want to tap into a couple blue option cards. And for our rares, we get our first Renamon, who lets us look at the top 4 cards of our deck. We can add a Cubimon, Talmon, or Sakuyamon, and 1 Rika among them to our hand, placing the rest at the bottom of the deck in any order. Once per turn, when we use an option card with a cost of 2 or more, gain a memory. Now granted, you're going to be using Rika's effect, which lets you play them for free, so you'll gain a memory and all. But if you find yourself lacking your Rika, she still reduces the cost of your option cards by 1, effectively speaking. At least the ones that cost 2 or more. Hoo! Another super rare. We got Megadramon. Megadramon here has a when digivolving ability to delete one of our opponent's Digimon with 10,000 or less DP, and if no Digimon were deleted by this effect, we trash the top cards of both players' decks. His on deletion lets us play a Guilmon and Takato from our hand or trash without paying their memory costs. He is also treated as a Chaos Gallantmon card, which means he does activate those effects that involve having Gallantmon in their name. The one thing I will admit that I do not like about this card is the fact that he can trash your opponent's deck. See, when I used to play Hearthstone, I really hated the Mill Rogue strategy because the Mill Rogue's deck is built around destroying cards and just basically shoving your opponent out of the game. rather than actually playing against your opponent. And if too many effects like this start existing, that's going to become a problem in the Digimon card game. Unless, of course, you're playing purple. In that case, you want your cards to be in your trash. So I would say purple would be the only thing keeping this effect in check. All I'm saying is this is something that you should keep an eye on in the horizon to see what kind of devilish techniques you can come up with. Our next pack grants us Gargoman, Andromon, Cubimon, Bubbles, Ice Devemon, Caesarmon, Horn Striker, Labramon, another Alice, Rapidmon, and for our rares we get Terriermon and Iron Mako. From there we're going to get Locomon again, Davidramon, Lotmon, Gorillamon, Gatekeeper, Pendulum Feet, High Speed Plugin, a third Searcher, 47 more to go, Xiaomon, Jerry, and for our rares, another Renamon, and Gardromon. This is a blocker, which is nice, and on play, one of our Digimon gets 3000 DP until the end of the opponent's turn. Maybe not a great late game ability, but a pretty great beginning ability. You know, if you start with this guy, like, obviously, you know, your opponent's going to give you maybe 1 or 2 memory at the start of your turn in the early part of the game. You set your opponent to 3 by playing Gardromon and then give him the DP boost. Usually, on turn 2 or 3, your opponent's not going to have a lot of 7,000 or higher DP Digimon that they want to swing into this guy. So, that's a nice effect. Plus, you could use the on-play effect with things like Omnimon's Wart, where he summons other black Digimon to the board, which would give him the option to power up a different blocker Digimon. We also got Ground Locomon, Gargomon, Andromon, Horn Striker, Offensive Plug-in A, Pilates Head, Bubbles, Ice Devemon, Fireball, Reapermon, and for our rares, another Dobermon, and Golfmon. Ooh, that's a sinister looking guy right there. Golfmon's when Digivolving ability, all players trash cards in their hand until they have 5 cards left. So, the closest thing we have to card destruction right now, if for those of you who used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Or still play Yu-Gi-Oh! During our turn, once per turn, when one of our effects trashes a card in our hand, we may unsuspend one of our Digimon. So, obviously, his when Digivolving ability lets him unsuspend himself if he already attacked when in ultimate form. Overall, though, it's a pretty decent effect. I don't know, as a super rare, it's nice, but I don't know. It's just an okay effect, I guess. I do like the ability to unsuspend himself with the trashing effect, because it's very common in purple. So, our next pack has Lotmon, another Growlmon, Strike-Dramon, Pendulum Feet, Plug-in D, our 4th Searcher, Fist of the Beast King. Ooh, Digivolution Plug-in S, the first one we've gotten so far. Like the others, if we have a Tamer, don't worry about color. Its main effect lets us draw 1, and then we can Digivolve one of our Digimon into a Digimon card in our hand that can Digivolve for a Digivolution cost of 3 or less, without paying its Digivolution cost. Because it costs 2, this lets you basically Digivolve for 1 less if we want to, or Digivolve for the exact same cost if we're really behind our opponent. Its security effect lets us look at the top 3 cards of our deck and add a Digimon among them to our hand, placing the rest at the bottom of our deck, and then adding this card to our hand. Then we have Rapidmon, Jerry, and for our rares, another Mother, and an alternate art for Dobermon? Okay, now I'm a little lost. Much like the EX1 booster pack, I guess I didn't understand how ratios were going to happen in that one. So This is a really cute artwork. I like it. Devemon with Alice here. I don't know what the alt arts look like for this booster pack, so I am very surprised when I see these. I know the secret rares have alt arts, obviously, but this is my second alt art and a secret rare, so I'm not exactly sure what the ratio is for the alt arts and whatnot when it comes to EX2. I'm very happy I got a secret rare. I'm hoping my other box that I'll be opening next week is going to have the other secret rare, which is Gallantmon Crimson Mode. But yeah, so far so good. 2 alternate arts. Let's keep the ball rolling with Growlmon. Strike-Dramon. This sounds familiar. Oh, never mind. Mephistomon. Fist of the Beast King. Digivolution Plugin S. Optimizer. Creep Hands. Plugin Offensive Plugin A. Viximon. Another Jerry. And for our rares, this is the Tocado I was talking about. This is the alt art, or the regular art that I knew about with him putting his goggles on. Oh, and our other rare is Calumon. Oh, he's so cute. We can play him from our hand and reduce the cost by 2 if we have Guilmon, Terriermon, Renamon, or Impmon in play. So he normally costs 3, but if one of those other Digimon is on the board, he can only cost 1. He cannot attack, which you'd rather not want him to anyways. He only has 1000 DP. But when one of our Digimon digivolves, we can suspend him to gain a memory, draw 1, and give an opponent's, or one of our Digimon, not our opponent, give one of our Digimon 3000 DP for the turn. That's actually really nice. He, in the show, he served as the catalyst for Digivolution, for at least for their ultimate level Digivolution, and like a little bit into their, I believe their champion and ultimate levels required Calumon to be nearby. Anyways, but giving this awesome power-up, letting him suspend him, which leaves him vulnerable, but he's tired from helping them Digivolve. Gaining a memory makes it cost 1 less. Drawing 1, they're going to draw for Digivolving, so it's effectively drawing 2, and then giving them this burst of 3000 power for the rest of the turn. It really serves to show how valuable Calumon was. Our next pack has Strike-Dramon, Mephistomon, Ground Locomon, Digivolution Plugin S, Optimizer, Creep Hands, Offensive Plugin A, Labramon, Viximon, Jerry, and for our rares, another Gardramon and another Tocado. So unlike most booster packs that have about anywhere between 112 to 115 cards in them, the EX boosters have only 70-ish. I believe EX1 had 73, EX2 has 74. So eventually these packs all start looking the same. We got Growlmon, we got Strike-Dramon, we got Mephistomon, we got the Fist of the Beast King, and the Gatekeeper, and the Ice Devemon, and the Optimizer. We got High Speed Plugin A. No, that's D, sorry. We got Gigimon and Taomon here. And we're just going for the rares. We got Cyberdramon and another super rare in Beelzemon. Not to be confused with Beelzemon Blast Mode. Beelzemon, when this card is trashed from our deck, we can play 1 Impmon from our trash without paying its memory cost. That being said, I have not pulled an Impmon yet, and we are already down to the last like 7 packs. When Digivolving and when attacking, we can trash the top 2 cards of our deck. Then we delete one of our opponent's level 3 or lower Digimon. For every 10 cards in our trash, we add 1 to the maximum level of the Digimon we can choose with this effect. Again, much like that option card I was talking about, you can play your deck really close to the danger zone for really powerful combinations. Like every time Beelzemon attacks, he can delete something huge. It's a good card. I'm thinking about trying to maybe not run a Beelzemon deck, but run like Beelzemon as the side boss monster to whatever purple deck I'm planning on running. Our next pack contains Ground Locomon, Gargoman, Andromon, Labramon, Another Searcher, very nice. Pilates Head. Gorillamon. Fist of the Beast King. Ooh, Gummymon. We didn't get a Gummymon yet. When an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, draw one, which is good because all the Terriermon effects have been doing that. Oh, look, it's little Susie. Her on-play effect lets us play Labramon without paying its memory cost. And at the start of turn, if we have 3 or fewer security, draw one. So rather than gaining memory like a lot of other tamers with a similar wording to them, we get to draw a card, which is nice. And for our rares, we get Marine Andromon, this blue-yellow Digimon. Its on-play effect, for each of our opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards, we recover one. Though we cannot increase our security to 6 or more. So if your opponent's running Rookie Rush, don't think you can just bring yourself to, like, 7 or 8 security. You can only go up to 6, which makes sense. You can't just abuse this ability. And our other rare? Or no, this is a super rare, is Golfmon. Wait, didn't I just pull Golfmon? Yeah, all players trash cards. Did I get 3 alternate arts? Wow. They are being very generous with the alternate arts in this booster pack. So, yeah, no, that's Golfmon right here. Yeah. So, I'm pretty sure this one's the alternate art because it's got way more artwork to it. It takes up more of the page, but that's really cool. Getting a lot of purple alt art here. Getting a lot of purple cards, at least in the super rare and rare division. Our next pack has another Cubimon, Locomon, Davidramon, Bubbles, Gatekeeper, Digivolution Plug-in S, Ice Devemon, Pendulum Feet. Hey, we got little Hopmon. While we have a black tamer, this Digimon gains 1000 DP. Like I said, this pack is really trying to get black players to use their tamers a lot more. Hey, and Monodramon, whose on play lets us look at the top 4 cards of our deck and add all black tamer cards among them to our hand, placing the rest at the bottom of our deck in any order. This is a lot like the Patamon from the very first booster pack, except with, obviously, black tamers instead of yellow. I also like how this artwork depicts him taking on like 2 Goblimons at the same time, so he's a really tough little rookie. And our rares are Henry, who gives us a memory tamer, setting our memory to 3 if it's 2 or less. And then when we attack with a Gargomon, a Rapidmon, a Gargomon or a Rapidmon, we can suspend this tamer to suspend an opponent's Digimon. Nice. Oh, good, Ipmon. So when this card is trashed from our deck, if it wasn't trashed from this same card's ability, see how it's EX2-039 Impmon, we can trash up to 3 cards from the top of our own deck. Its on play lets us reveal the top 4 cards of our deck, and we can add Beelzemon and 1 Eye and Mako among them to our hand, placing the remaining cards at the bottom of our deck, in any order. Oh, its inherited gives Beelzemons a plus 3000 DP. Our next pack gives us another Gargomon, Andromon, Cubimon, another Searcher, and a Pilates Head, Gorillamon, Fist of the Beast King, Bubbles, Gummymon, another Susie or Su Chungwon, and our rares are Calamon and Marine Andromon. After that pack, we get Locomon, another Davidramon, got Labramon, and a Gatekeeper, Digivolution Plug-in S, Ice Devemon, Pendulum Feet, Optimizer, Hopmon, Monodramon, and for our rares, another Henry, and another Impmon. And we are down to our final 3. This is the Bronze Medal Booster Pack, the third to last, a tertiary goal. I mean, we've gotten so many alt arts and super rares already. What could the bronze medal bring us but Labramon, Growlmon, Strike Dramon, Optimizer, Caesarmon, High Speed Plug-in D, Creep Hands, Horn Striker, Death Slinger, War Growlmon, and for our rares, Antilamon, and Rio. Nice. So his on-play effect lets us look at the top 4 cards of our deck and add a Drumon or Justimon in its name among them to our hand, placing the remaining at the bottom of our deck in any order as usual. When we attack with a black Digimon, we can suspend this tamer to have that Digimon get 1000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn. So not only does he strike with great force, but the power-up stays, protecting him in his suspended state, which is something black Digimon usually find themselves in. Well, that's pretty nice. We're still seeing new cards this far into the booster pack, which means this silver medal, this penultimate booster pack, could have anything, like Grand Locomon here. Gargoman, Andromon, another Searcher, that's fine, I need more of those. Gorillamon, another Bubbles, just because I like saying Bubbles. Digivolution Plug-in S, Pendulum Feet, and we got Kenta, Kitagawa. During our turn, if we can, when we play a Marine Angemon from our hand, we can lower the cost by 1. Nice. Now granted, Marine Angemon, I believe, costs, yes, 11, so it's not super fantastic. But during our turn, when we have a blue Digimon, we can suspend this tamer to trash the bottom Digivolution card of one of our opponent's Digimon. And if that Digimon played was Marine Angemon, we can trash an additional Digivolution card from the bottom of all of our opponent's Digimon. So if you get a couple of him out there, Marine Angemon's effect is almost guaranteed, because for each one of this guy, you're going to, take out one of each of your opponent's inherited effects, and then for each individual one, you can pick up the stragglers by suspending this guy. Nice. We also get Parasitemon, and our rares are Rio, and the Reaper. This is the card I've been looking for. I need 4 copies of him for this D-Reaper deck. So when we would play this Digimon, we can trash 7 or more Digivolution cards from the bottom of our Mother D-Reaper to reduce this play cost to 0. He has Rush, which means he can attack. This is a 15,000 DP Digimon with Rush that can cost 0. Oh, but it gets worse. When attacking, we can place 2 Searchers from our trash under this Digimon in any order as its Digivolution cards to unsuspend it. So it attacks, and it unsuspends. With 2 Searchers under it, this Digimon has 17,000 DP, making him stronger than any Digimon. Now granted, something like Gaia Force can stop him, something like Cocytus Breath can send him away, but if your opponent doesn't have the option cards needed to stop him, he is an indestructible force. This when attacking ability is not once per turn, and you are going to have at least 7 Searcher Digimon in your trash because you paid that cost from your Mother D-Reaper. So, first attack, add 2, do the math, and you can pretty much shred your opponent's security with this guy by himself and then swing for game. Now, of course, to go through the entire security, you would need, let's see, you would have 0 for your first attack, you'd have 2 for the second one, you'd have 4 for the third one, 6 for the fourth one, and one swing is 0. So you would need 10. You would need 10 Searchers total to make Reaper able to just shred the security by attacking. However, the worst case scenario for your opponent is you've probably been chipping away at him with your other cards, such as the Green Horn, who's able to bash down, with its rush ability, and all your other little Digimon going at him. So you really only need Reaper to do like the finishing 1 or 2 smacks overall. And now, for our gold medal, our final booster pack, we got Mephistomon, we got Ground Locomon, we got Gargoman, and the offensive plug-in A, another Searcher, glorious Gorillamon, a Bubble Digivolution plugin S, another Yamon, another Kenta, and for our rares, a second Reaper, and a second Guilmon. Our first red Digimon card we got was Guilmon. Our last red Digimon card we got was Guilmon. That's actually pretty neat. So yeah, I don't normally show my haul, quote unquote, at the end of these booster pack openings, but I really wanted to point out the amazingly cool ratio that this booster pack in particular brings. Like, if you take a look here, we got 3 alternate art cards and 6 super rares, and then we got 1 secret rare in Beelzemon Blast Mode. Now, obviously, in other booster packs that I've opened, other booster boxes, we usually get a secret rare and an alternate art, or we get 2 alternate arts. So, my guess is you get a secret rare, or you get a secret rare and 3 alt arts, or you get 4 alt arts. But we'll know in the next video when I open another box and study the ratios a little more. I look forward to seeing alt arts that I wasn't expecting. But as always, let me know in the comments if I pulled your favorite Digimon, or if there was a card that I miraculously did not pull and you were hoping to see. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.